So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's panel discussion. On behalf of SkillMA, I extend a warm welcome to all our panelists and guests joining us today on LinkedIn.
Thank
Our
you.
discussion today focuses on a topic that resonates deeply with every L&D professional. Learning budgets are shrinking, expectations are growing. Today, we have an exceptional panel of industry leaders who bring rich experience across learning strategy, talent development, HR transformation, and organizational capability building. They will share their perspectives and practical experiences and strategies that organizations can adopt in today's rapidly changing business environment. So, without further ado, let me introduce our distinguished panelists for today. So, our first panelist is Ms. Sunita Menon, Chief Manager Training and Zonal Training Head at Axis Max Life Insurance Company Limited, an accomplished learning and talent development leader with extensive experience in designing and implementing people development initiatives. She has worked closely with business leaders to build learning cultures, develop leadership capabilities, and drive organizational growth through strategic learning interventions. Welcome, Ms. Sunita.
Thank you.
Yeah, joining us today is Ms. Asnika Das, a human resource and talent management professional known for her work in talent strategy, HR business partnering, employee development, and organizational effectiveness. She has worked across diverse industries, enabling organizations to strengthen their people capabilities and build high-performing teams. Welcome, Ms. Asnika.
Thank you so much.
We are also delighted to welcome Mr. Deepak from New Age Software and Solutions, an experienced HR and learning leader with extensive expertise in talent development, leadership capability building, and organizational learning. Throughout his career, he has partnered with business leaders to build learning ecosystems that drive employee growth and business performance. Welcome, Mr. Deepak.
Thank you, team. Thank you so much. Lovely being here.
Uh, Final panelist for today's panel discussion is Mr. Morris Manoj, Senior Manager Learning and Development at Chargeback Gurus, a respected learning and HR professional with significant experience in organizational capability development, leadership learning, and employee engagement. His passion for creating impactful learning experiences makes him a valuable addition to today's discussion. So, welcome, Mr. Morris.
Thank you so much.
And to moderate our session today, we have with us Ms. Roshan Khatun, Manager L&D at Pivot Path, a seasoned HR and learning professional with extensive experience in talent development, leadership, capability building, and facilitating meaningful conversations around the future of work. She has worked closely with business and HR leaders to drive learning initiatives that create measurable business impact, and we are delighted to have her moderating today's discussion. Welcome, Ms. Roshan.
Thank you so much, Patil. What an amazing panel we have today. I assume I'm taking forward from here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I am very excited for today's conversation, right? As somebody who has been on both the ends, I am asked about this question always. Where are the investments going, right? What are you building? What capability are you building? So let's dive right in. Well, if I were to ask everyone present today to describe the biggest challenge that L&D is facing today, I would probably hear AI, learner engagement, capability, skill shortages, budget constraints, and proving ROI, the elephant in the room, by the way. But interestingly, because we have such a diverse panel, all of these intersect in today's topic is going to get answered. Patil said today's discussion is around learning budgets are shrinking, but the expectation keeps growing, and all of us are playing a role in that, right? So imagine this: your CEO walks in tomorrow morning and says your learning budget has been cut by 50%. So what stays? Now you have to decide what stays, what goes, what would you do as a leader, right? So, well, today's session, I think, or today's discussion isn't about defending the L&D budget, but it's about redefining the learning value that we deliver as L&D leaders. There is something very interesting about today's panel as well. We have multi-industry leaders representing. We have people from engineering, capital market, enterprise technology, fintech. So thank you all for joining us. This diversity is exceptional, but yet we are dealing with the same challenge. I think my promise to all of you who are here today is you're not going to hear one right answer, but you'll hear how different industries are approaching the same challenge. What has worked, what hasn't, what lessons can be adapted to our own organization, our own context. So today, all of us are leaving with at least one idea that we can take back and implement in our own context. So I can't wait for this to get started. So here it is. The coming up segment is very interesting. As somebody, I'm a fan of Karan Johar's Coffee with Karan, right? So I think this was the best thing to start with. So let us start with a quick lightning round. My request to all the panelists here is that no explanation. All we request from you is just one word. Here's how it goes. I'm going to put a sentence, it's incomplete. So you have to complete it from your perspective, right? So here it goes. Learning budgets are, and we can start with the Asnika. Learning budgets are. What's your one word?
Learning budgets are recalibrating.
Recalibrating. Yes, Deepak.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. All right. Learning budgets for me, it is more about the plan for the next year.
Plan for the next year. Okay, one word. Morris, what's it for you?
Available.
Available.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that answer. That's not what we are talking about today. Love that answer. All right, Sarita, what is it for you?
For me, it is strategic. Learning budgets are strategic.
Learning budgets are strategic. Great. The audience who have joined us today, if you would like, you could also share your thoughts in the chat, but we keep going with the panel here. All right, here comes the next question for all of you. The biggest waste in L&D is, according to you. We again start with Asmika, with you.
A fancy word I recently learned, vanity metrics.
Matrix. Okay, vanity matrix.
Yes,
Oh, I
that's
have
what
never
it
heard of
is.
that. I will connect that but since this is one word, we're going to keep it one word. Vanity matrix. Great. All right, Deepak.
I would put it across in training hours.
Training hours. All right. Morris?
I would use the word, two words though, but I can't just put it in one. I would say the biggest waste in L&D is having, well, three words: no learning culture.
No learning culture. All
Yeah.
right.
I couldn't get one word, so I'm sorry about that.
Perfectly fine. Sunita, what is it for you?
I would say attendance.
Attendance. All right. Great. Great. Okay. We come to a third question, which is CEOs care about. What do they care about? CEOs care about. Fill in your words.
Velocity, speed,
Velocity, speed. Yes. Agility.
agility.
Yes. Great. Deepak.
For me, it's more about the skills and capabilities.
Skills and capabilities. That's what your CEOs care about. Skills and
Yes.
capabilities. All right, Morris.
Business growth.
Business growth. Yes. If not that, why do we even exist? Yes. Sunita.
Frozen.
I think her
Network is bad.
internet is bad. All right. In the interest of time, we will keep moving. Okay, we will come back to Asnika again. The next question is employees want. Employees want what?
Employees want, career growth.
Career growth. Sure. Yeah. Deepak?
I would say learning at the fastest time. So it's more about
Yeah.
they don't want to waste time. So it's more about
Yeah.
teach me anything at the fastest time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Morris?
Again, I'll put this into three categories. I'll tell you why.
Perfectly
Because
fine.
we have older millennials, we have millennials, and Gen
Yeah.
Z at our
Yeah.
workplace.
Yeah.
And three different cultures. The older Gen X, they want career progression. Millennials want purpose. Gen Z want development, clarity. They have a different sense of work, right? So I'll put them in three categories here.
Very relevant, Morris.
Yes.
Very relevant. Yes. Thank you. All right. Sunita seems to be reconnecting with us. So we will ask her these, but let's keep going. AI will. Wow. That's one of my favorite subjects to explore these days. AI will. Asnika, will start with you.
An adjective, amplify. It will amplify everything.
Will amplify.
Sorry,
Perfect.
I'm going to step in. I'm going to say the same word.
Amplify. Oh,
I'll put
the
it in a
answer from
different
there.
way.
All right.
Maybe AI will help. Will help.
AI will help. Yeah. We are not saying it's going to replace us, but it's only going to
It will help.
enable us, amplify
Yes.
our effort. Great. All right. We come to the last question of the lightning round, right? One capability any organization should never stop investing in. According to you, what is that?
I feel leadership adaptability, giving time to, go into the next phase of
Got it.
career, business, growth.
Leadership building as such. Great. All
Yes.
right. Deepak?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But to give another perspective, probably on improving, the process efficiency. With the
Sure.
industry that I am in, so it's more about improving process efficiency as well.
Sure. Sure. Great. Morris.
As
3
an
words again? Do we have?
just to,
Just to love it.
so it's going to be
Yes.
people development.
People development. Sure.
It's very
Sunita, we
similar to
missed
what
you.
Ananika said. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I would go for adaptability
Adaptable.
because every disruption, whether it is AI, whether it is technology, you need one core thing, that is adaptability. It demands adaptability.
Yeah. And every organization should invest in building employees more adaptable, helping them do better. Great. Love that. Thank you so much. Great. Now we move forward to do this was just to break the ice and bring the momentum, right? And I loved the answer that all of you shared. We are all there. We are all dealing with this. So now let's move forward to our first segment, which is if let's say your manager, your CEO comes and says that you have just lost 50% of your learning budget. What is that one thing that you would stop investing in, or what should you stop doing immediately, right? So now I would like to go here to individual panelists here. Since we have such diverse group, I would like to understand from your own maybe industry perspective, maybe organization perspective, what is it that you do, or what is it that you will do if put in a situation like this? I'm sure we all have been through situations like this, right? So my first question maybe is to Asnika. From an HR BP's lens, you bring rich experience from that perspective. How do you convince your business leaders that capability is an investment and it is not a cost? It's a
Okay.
difficult one. How do you do it?
So first thing is I need to change my vocabulary because coming from sales background to HR, transitioning to HR, I am putting everything into a lens of ROI. Okay. So changing my vocabulary in the sense I'll change learning hours to business bottlenecks, training programs to reach risk mitigation strategy. Now, if I need to convince the business that if you want better outcome, result-oriented approach, then you need to invest in the capability. For an example, investing on managers. That's the foremost thing.
Right.
I mean, if my learning budget is reduced to half, rather than investing in the frontliners, I would invest into the managers because it is often said and written on LinkedIn that employees don't leave the organization; they leave the managers. So I would better build them, make them capable enough so that they can take care of the team. Okay.
Absolutely.
For an example, if engineering is missing a product deadline, then I don't ask for the budget to teach the project management. Rather, I would show the business leader the 10% increase in the scoping the capability save X amount in delayed product launches, right? So when we start tying capability directly to the P&L statement, then they will definitely listen.
Right.
So
in simple words, I think we are trying to speak their language, and that's
yes,
when we think they will understand and connect with us better and listen us more. Maybe.
correct.
Yeah.
A good manager will always influence productivity, engagement, retention, customer experience, anything you call it,
Right. Absolutely. Love that idea of changing the vocabulary, right? We more often than not talk in our own language in L&D terms, and people don't tend to get it. So talking their language will for sure help us and help us get us buy-in. Great. My next question is to Sunita. From a sales capability perspective. You come from a insurance background. A lot of sort of scalability is very, very important there, right? And the sales capability building does not come inexpensive, very expensive programs, very expensive affairs. So how do you decide where learning creates the highest business impact, and how do you go ahead about implementing it in your function in the organization?
Okay, I don't start with the learning need. I start with the business need. So there are, there are three questions that we normally ask. Firstly, which capability gap is costing the business the most?
Right.
Is it poor conversion, lower productivity, weak customer conversations, or poor persistency or renewals, or there is ineffective leadership? That is one thing that we ask. Then the second question that we will ask is that what you need to do in order to get there. Okay, so what is so that is the second question that we would normally focus on. That is, what is the thing that you need to get there. And thirdly, what I would say that how can we influence this employee segment the largest, which employee segment we can influence the largest in order to get the desired outcome. Okay, sometimes it would be training the top 20%, okay, of managers who can create a multiplier effect for the organizations rather than coaching the entire 100 lot. And also how we can measure the impact. That is something that we would focus. It can if I can define the success or in business metrics, I would say it would be sales productivity. Then there will also be what is the revenue growth that has happened. What about the persistency ratio? Okay, and also the customer satisfaction ratio. That is also something that I would I would rethink on when I do an intervention. Okay, but learning budgets may shrink, but business expectations don't.
So absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, so that's why L&D has to move from being just an activity function to becoming a business performance function. I would say that.
Yeah.
The goal should not be to train more people. The goal has to be to improve better business performance.
Yeah.
So
great. Yeah. Love those points. Love those points. Right. Let's see what Deepak has to say here. Deepak, what low cost or high impact initiatives have surprised you the most?
See, if you take the industry that I'm from, right? See, the essence of my industry is always since it's more of into logistics and freight forwarding, right? So we deal with both the software and also the front office. Now, and we deal with the different geopolitics always. So it's always about a lot of geopolitics coming into picture as well. And then comes, your shipments that have to be delivered. So I always have people running behind shipments, right? So that's why I was always talking about process efficiency. Now, if you are going to bring in the budget into it, so that's something that I always come back with in terms of probably I'll have to prioritize now. So I'll have to look at if my budget is shrinking, I'll have to prioritize which capability is the need of the hour, right? So I think L&D, I think over the past few years, I think it's probably changed or moved from that I would say normal question. I would say how many hours did you train, right? It's probably moved from that question, and it's probably going into the next stage of it. It's like what business solution that you have brought in.
Correct.
What is that you have brought in, and what is that the entire community is actually working for, probably in terms of business growth for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the major chunk is actually the investments are in. Now, when it comes down to the budget again, right? When we are talking about budgets, budgets keep shrinking. They keep shrinking. There'll be a lot of new things that could come up with. So if you ask me, somewhere or the other, as I was telling, even in the rapid fires, in terms of how AI will actually help us, I think Ansika and I think Morris were quick enough to tell that it will amplify, and I was there to tell that it will help. That's one sector where I think L&D will be moving way ahead in terms of how we can actually bring in a lot of, or I would say bridge a lot of gaps Because to be very honest and frank, earlier, if I as a trainer has to write down some scripts,
Right.
about any kind of training that I'm supposed to go ahead and handle it, be it in process, domain, or soft skills, right?
Yeah.
So it would take at least an entire day for me to go ahead. Let us say for 60 or 70 odd slides. That's how training was all about, right? You create
Yeah.
a PPT, you go ahead. It could either be an offline session or an online session. But now that's completely where AI is coming in and taking over, right? So
Right.
for me, if you ask me, I'll generally prioritize. I'll prioritize where I need to invest that money, that budget that is going to come into my
Great.
budget.
Prioritization is a great point, right? And bringing that business element, right? So now that brings me to a very important question that I would like to ask Morris, you. How do you keep in between, keeping things, making things a priority, keeping it business relevant? How do you keep learning relevant without increasing the spend or without increasing the cost for the organization?
It's a very interesting question, but what I will tell you, the truth is that uh, the 50% what the CEO comes and step down, that's what has happened to me 2 months back. He literally came down and said that, Morris, I'm cutting down for 50%. This is what
Wow,
happened
you have lived
real
it.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I had to come up with measures. I mean, we can't go for drastic measures. The first thing is to look at internally who are our best SMEs, right? So the
Right.
focus from the bigger picture made it
External
even more
to,
sharp. Yeah, internal.
yeah.
So it's moving from external to internal to look at, what are the internal SMEs to share some best practices. And what we have done is we have mapped around 3 months of weekly trainings with these internal SMEs. And also, one more thing which we are trying to do right now is to encourage the peer-to-peer learning and knowledge
Mm-hmm.
sharing.
Mm-hmm.
This has started very recently. It's because although the budget is there, I mean, it's 50% is still there, but we still say that, okay, if I don't get the budget, what am I going to do? So
Yeah.
it also gives us a thought process of completely shifting our mindset. L&D is not
Yeah.
about budgets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, budgets is just part of L&D. I
Got
think the
it.
thought process changed completely.
Absolutely.
And learning is not, I think there's two different things. Learning, training, all these words are like, facilitation, they all mix
Interesting.
and they
Yes.
interchange. And I
Yes.
think so the focus was not on training or facilitation, it's all about learning.
Yeah.
So that's a core point. So if your
Absolutely.
focus is on learning, you don't need money. You can learn anywhere.
Absolutely. Great. So, what I hear from all of you is Asnika spoke about speaking in the business language. So, you drive greater. If I have to just pick one thing from each of you, what we spoke to drive greater alignment, right? Great. Starting with a business need, not with the TNA question. I am not saying this is what I want to do, but I'm asking the business, what is it that you need? And let me deliver that. That's what Sunita said. Great point. And love the idea of multiplier effect, right? We don't have to train the 5,000 people, but can I train less than that? Maybe 500 people and see how can they replicate it within their teams? Can we reach masses like that? Love the point. Process efficiency, Deepak spoke about. Great. Linking it to business goals. Leveraging on the internal SMEs and peer-to-peer learning. We don't always have to look at outside. We don't always have to look at getting external help, but the sea of knowledge that we have inside, how do we leverage on that? Beautiful points. Right now, that brings me to ask you a very interesting question. We all said, okay, my CEO has come to me, has told me 50% cut, right? So now, where would you invest your 50%, or what interventions would you prioritize first? I have 5 options for you, right? Will you do it for managers? Will you do it for leadership? Will you invest it for AI or digital skills? Or will you build your sales capability? Or will you build your new joiner capability? What would be your answer? Let's pick top one. I'll start with Asnika. What would you pick, Asnika?
I have already spoken. I think I will train my managers. Yes, and definitely some portion of it on the frontliners or new hires, because they will help me to build my brand for the
Right.
outside the world, and it will amplify me, to bring good, culture, sustainability, learning capability, career growth, you name it. I mean, it is going to happen. So that's what would be my take on this.
Managers is Asnika's pick. Deepak, what would be your pick?
See, my pick, I think I will go ahead with what Asnika did say in terms of bringing, putting a major chunk into my leadership, and as well as, people who have joined new into the organization. But I'll also probably put in another major chunk into the digital side of it, right? What I can digitize, because the need of the hour is like, now, as Morris was pointing out, we are dealing with three set of individuals. We have the millennials, we have the Gen Z, and probably in another 10 years or so, in a decade or so, we'll also have the Gen Alpha coming in, right? So where do we put, how do we engage these individuals? So now the major medium that I have in hand is my digital medium. So how can I make sure that learning will be more fun? Right, you have a lot of learning management systems out there that are bringing in a lot of new technologies in. They are doing a lot of gamifications. I think gamification is now, I would say it is behind our backs. Now they are more forward ahead in terms of, reward points are there. You have a lot of other things that you can actually do with probably digital learning. So my chunk, I would say yes, in terms of
Managers,
building my top
digital.
talent. And the second chunk would be into my digital interventions. So how can I actually digitize what I do?
Great. All right. Morris, what would be your pick?
Now, once again, I think it would be different for every organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also the stream, that's completely different. So I'm going to speak purely based on my organization or the stream which I'm in. So from my point, where I would invest is in the leadership team. When I say leadership team, I'm not saying the C-suite. What I'm saying is the leaders from every department, whom I feel they can be managers, they can be supervisors, they can be SMEs. Yeah. So I'm going to choose the leadership team wisely there, but it's a very difficult task. I know that.
Yeah.
Everybody would agree, right?
Yes.
And to choose them and then to train them there, I feel that would work out. Hopefully,
Sure.
That's what we're trying to do.
Like you said, every organization have their own environment, have their own priorities. You should see what suits your organization and the business priorities. Great. That brings me to Sunita. What would be your top pick from this top 5?
I'm going to be talking from my organization perspective. I would definitely train the sales, the top 20% of the managers who will help to create that multiplier effect. That is by training the other 100 frontline managers, which eventually will help to get in the business numbers, the productivity, the revenue, etc., to get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. We can do all that we want to do, but everything has to have a business effect. Everything has to have a business outcome. Now, that brings me to a very, very interesting question here that is a buzzword, and I think will always remain a buzzword for us as L&D practitioners or as HR professionals, right? I am sure you have experienced this moment where somebody has come to you and said that, you know what, training happened, but didn't work. I don't think I see any change, right? At least once you would have heard that, right? That happens. So is that really true? Or are we measuring the wrong things? Or as L&D practitioners, are we not focusing on what needs to be done? Sometimes it is not a training problem. It could be a process problem. It could be a culture problem. So are we really diagnosing it correctly and coming out with the real or suitable intervention is the question, right? So how now my question here is to maybe we'll start with Sunita, how from your sales perspective, how do sales leader define learning success in your organization?
Okay, now thank you for putting across this question to me because I've heard this several times. Okay, so to put across what I'm going to say, that training doesn't fail. Okay, lack of application does.
Absolutely.
I'm training two people. I'm training two branches, and one branch is performing, and the other branch is not performing. It is not the fault of the training. It is the fault of application of that training.
Yeah.
Okay. And we also measure trainings through attendance, through feedback scores, through assessments. While that is definitely one lead measure to understand the effectiveness of the training, but the real question is not did people attend the training. The real question is that did they behave differently after the training? Did they go out and meet customers? Did they have those conversations that was taught to them during the training? So that is something that that matters. Okay, if learning isn't linked to business KPIs, then it is merely an activity. And
Absolutely.
I did like to say on this platform that training, application of the learning is a collaborative effort. It
Yeah.
is not that training is one jadoo ki jhappi, the word that we use, that
Yeah.
you train and then there are miracles happening. It
Absolutely.
doesn't happen like that, because that's what I have also told to my sales leaders very candidly. If one
Yeah.
branch is performing, it's a collaborative effort, and the other branch is not performing, why do you see that difference? It is
Absolutely.
application of the training.
Training. Yeah. Absolutely. Great. Love what you said, right? So we have to pick and choose. Now we define when we are planning for a training, we say, okay, these are the objectives, these are the KPIs that we want to achieve by the end of this training. This is what we want to do. So now my next question, or we set the measurement metrics as to if this training has to be successful, these are the parameters that needs to be met. So my question next is to you, Morris. If you were to pick one metric that you wish your organization stopped using, because we put 7 8 things, we want to achieve all of that, we want to put a lot of metrics in place, so what would be that one metrics that you would stop using in your organization?
I think it's very in par with what Sunita said. I mean, we
Yeah.
have this word of completion percentage, right?
Yes, we
This
say that's our, we are
five,
done, our training
yeah.
is done.
500 hours spent on LinkedIn learning.
Love that idea. Yes, yes.
So completing the course doesn't mean that particular employee has understood or
Yeah,
retained or even
yeah,
applied the learning, as Sunita
yeah,
said, right? So
yeah.
I think that's where the focus need to shift completely. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about completion percentage anymore.
Yeah.
It's about all application. I think also is to back what I've seen. When I apply, I would perform better. It would show in your performance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
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 and obviously, and I have 40 trainees. 40 of them go through the training. They've completed the percentage. Why are the
yeah,
10 able to perform, not the other 30? That's a question. They don't ask that question.
yeah,
They ask, oh, all 40 finished. See, 30 of them are not performing. They
yeah,
don't take the 10 at all in account who are performing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where I stand. I do not know. I mean, can differ.
Sure. So, what I hear is that one metric that we may stop using is not just saying, "Hey, participation is great, so it is working well." But we have to think more deeper and connect it with business KPIs and see what kind of behavioral changes are we seeing, what kind of results have we achieved, what was the maybe status before and what is it now. Those are the conversations that we need to have. Those are the kind of metrics we need to set. Now that brings me to Deepak, to you. If with your experience in this organization and past, would you be able to share one initiative where learning has created a measurable business impact? Uh,
Absolutely.
Something that you would have done. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, we are into this industry called freight forwarding, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I was telling across, so we here the essence is time,
Mm-hmm.
right? The moment I am not able to put the cargo in the vessel, right, I'm losing money, right? And it involves, if you take the Indian subcontinent, right, it involves humongous, I would say, documentations
Mm-hmm.
when we are going to put in a cargo into a vessel, right? So we've particularly made sure that earlier it was a very robust model, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we actually from the L&D we stepped in and we made sure that it became a factory model, wherein
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to do end to end. I am going to make sure people are going to do something which they love to do, and at the same time they are good at it. Now
Mm-hmm.
that brings me into a very simple model. I think all L&D experts would generally love to, probably explore more, the ask model. Whether I'm looking at training an individual or imparting an individual in the attitude side of it, the skill
Yeah.
side of it, or the knowledge side of
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
right? Now knowledge is the easiest. I have something in my technicals where I am just going to go ahead and probably teach them. I would say I'm just going to transfer the knowledge to them. It's more of a
Mm-hmm.
KT.
Yeah.
Next comes skill. which in where it directly aligns with something called attitude. It's always either a will issue or a skill issue. Identifying that is going to be a major challenge, especially with the Gen Z coming in, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take millennials or before millennials, I would say it was more about a cradle to death employment. If you take our industry as a standard, you take supply chain management, manufacturing, freight forwarding, logistics, you don't see a lot of people shifting across. Only millennials started shifting across. Let us say after 5 years or 6 years, they started
Yeah.
moving to different organizations in terms of career growth. But if you look at the previous, generation, I would say they are people who are more of into the cradle to death employment, and for them to adapt to something new is again a challenge. I still
Yeah.
have individuals who've been with me for with the organization for 20 years, 25 years, right? And I also have the new batch coming in, the Gen Z is coming in, and
Yeah.
as Morris pointed out very well, right? These individuals, these are hyper individuals who would love to go ahead and explore everything. At the same time, they want to do it at a very comfortable way, right? The
True.
most comforting way, right? They don't want to be questioned much. And that's where I think, to bring that real life example into it, my earlier millennials and other generations, they were more of into the robust model where they
Right.
take care of everything, right? You give them the shipment from A to Z, they are the individual running up and down for it. Now we
Yeah.
made sure that that has to be changed. And I think that's where we brought in this factory model. I think something
Right.
which inspired probably from the e-commerce background that I came from, where each if you take a shipment, you book something in from any of the e-commerce platforms, it has multiple touch notes, right? Many
Right.
individuals work for it. Something that we wanted to implement, and it really worked well. I think if you look at the numbers, I think we have somewhere around 20-25% increase in terms of the
Love that. That's
productivity.
the number that I was looking at. Great. So
Yes.
that's the business
So what
impact
is
you have created. Yeah.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
impact basically, and it's a growing process. Now, what happens
Yeah.
the moment we bring these kind of initiatives? That's when
Mhm.
as Morris again pointed out, and I think Asnika and Sunita also brought in that your top leaders, your leaders or your probably the decision makers,
Mhm.
right? They are now more of focusing into those categories, right?
Right.
I'm now looking at individuals who are like more of wanting to standardize the process much better, because they know how it is, right? So they've been in the
Yeah.
industry for 30 years, and they know how each touch note works. Now they are very focused on a particular area where it's always become a problem. For a very simple example, you take Indian customs, it's a hassle always. It's a hassle,
Yeah.
right? So how do we go around it? Now I have
Great.
people sitting and working around the processes now, and
So
that's where the
yeah,
timings have been reduced. So all
love
this,
that.
because of one small initiative, people start jumping in because they're so excited that something that was that they felt was would take an eternity has actually changed overnight, right?
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that with us, Deepak. Love the idea of factory model, something now you came from a different industry, implemented it here. Uh, Great to hear that it worked in the organization. Love, love it. So we were talking about business leaders, how they're receptive of these changes. So my next question is to you, Asnika, as an HR VP, how do you evaluate these learning conversations with business leaders? I'm sure they come to you with a lot of questions and saying, why are you doing this? How are you doing this? So how do you go ahead about this whole process with them?
So, fortunately, I'm a HR VP and I could see the learning investment in terms of the business process. So, I would measure the success through talent mobility, how I best utilize the internal talent to all the, upcoming projects which are business viable. I would measure the operational speed, so how efficiently they could able to convert the uh, sales to prospect to a sales. I would do a retention of key talent, which is my measure of one of my KPI.
Right.
So I mean, how would I save my cost by not hiring outside, by
Ah,
giving whatever 30,
yeah.
40% and, retain that
Yeah.
the internal talent. And yeah, managers' feedback on team performance. So I mean, I was patiently listening to Deepak, and one very prominent example came into my mind during the days of ICICI Prudential, which is a core sales life insurance company. It has smartly tagged the trainer's KPI to a sales personnel performance.
Yes.
So in life insurance, we have newer product coming in.
Yes.
Trainers, requirement is to train the personnel so that they can go on field and speak properly about what are the features available.
Yeah.
The trainer would conduct a classroom training. The trainer would go along with the sales personnel,
Yeah.
to the field and just
Correct.
sit behind to observe whatever he has trained, is the person delivering or not, and
Absolutely.
come back and share the feedback with the manager. End of the month, their performance on that particular product which he has trained, how it has been mitigated in terms of sales number, that's something
Yeah.
ICICI was smartly, tracking it down. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, uh, eventually we all have, changed our perspective into it so that we can have, more of return on investment,
Yeah.
spending on the learning budget. So more than how much I am spending on training hours, I would say that how error has
Reduced.
dropped by
Yeah.
percentage,
Yeah.
what is time to productivity has new hire taken, and how internal promotions has increased by the capability enhancement, because we
Yeah.
have invested into their capability
Absolutely.
development. So if I have certain numbers promoting within the organization, it has increased day by day. So that's my take on this.
Lovely, Asnika. Thank you so much. I think that perfectly aligns with, we have just got a question from one of the attendees, is that what you said of showing the leaders the impact of what the training or the L&D intervention has brought in for the organization, whether in terms of talent mobility or whether it is in terms of productivity, right? So I would like any of you to take this question, which is, how can L&D ensure that learning translates on the job performance, that is not just a course completion? We are not just talking about course completion, but we as L&D practitioners are ensuring that it is applied on the job and it is translating into your performance. Any of you, Sunita, you would like to take it?
Yeah, so I would say that if we are looking for that, L&D should be able to translate those learnings into business performance. I would say that it is a collaborative effort with the sales team, and it's just not the onus of the L&D team. Okay, both
Yeah.
have to collaborate together in order to get those numbers, in order to ensure that the numbers are met in the in the KPIs. So what happens is that in such situation, I would say that while ensuring that L&D team follows the process is important, but the outcome for that particular training has to be equally owned by both.
Absolutely.
It cannot be just it just cannot be a one-man show.
It's a shared responsibility between business and you.
Yes, absolutely. Are
Yeah.
we as L&D function following the process in terms of support, training them, supporting the sales team wherever they get? Are we giving them certain tools and techniques that will help them to enable in a better way, manage clients in a more better way? That is what matters. And of course, supporting them wherever, if they are having tough conversations with the customers where we need to support, that is well enough, that is good enough. But putting the onus of the outcome on the shoulders of the L&D is definitely not the right way. And put it across that I've had some really very assertive conversations with my business heads, making things very clear about my role.
Absolutely agree. One is the shared ownership of the outcome that we are envisioning. I think some of the things that I have also done and has been fruitful is identifying what are those top two things in the starting of the, planning the program itself. And at that time itself, you put the RACI in place. This is what the business will do. This is
I'm
what
sorry to
yes,
interrupt,
Sunita.
Roshan. I just would like to add one thing is that
Yes.
when there is a sales leader where 10 people would report to him.
Yeah. Okay, we
Okay,
lost.
why would those
Yeah.
10 people listen to what the L&D team is saying?
Absolutely.
Let me ask that. Let me put it across. Why we want to listen,
Yeah.
even if we are thinking about the best for him, that we would want to see that you qualify for promotions, you qualify for contests, etc.
Yeah.
Why would he want to listen to us?
Yeah.
Okay, right. We can definitely, we can definitely coach him, but the end, the onus has to be taken by the sales leaders, and you cannot shoot the bullet from the L&D's ears.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree that we can't be doing everything on our own. We are the facilitators. They have to take the onus of what needs to be done, how it needs to translate on the job. Now, that I think perfectly aligns with now the buzzword is AI, and L&D can't be left behind. I have seen the application multifolding the efforts that L&D has been putting, right? So I've just got a question. What role can AI play, or can AI play a role in helping L&D teams deliver more value, and how? Would any of you like to take that? I would request this to be short and crisp so we can keep going
Yeah.
ahead. Yes, Sunita or
Yes.
Deepak.
Sunita, you want to go ahead?
No, you speak, I think.
Great.
You speak.
Wonderful. See, as we were discussing, this is the new era into AI, right? When AI steps in, so I think as I think we've discussed all across, amplifying and helping. And one key area that AI could really help is, getting the skill matrix of an employee,
Right.
right? And developing scalable structures in terms of content, in terms of digitization of the content,
Yeah.
in terms of delivering the content. So all these three can be put across with AI.
Yeah.
And as L&D professionals, I think it is very important for us to, as I think Sunita pointed out very early, that in terms of adapting to change. And
Yeah.
it goes both the ways. Again, it's not again only with the business side adapting, but I think as from the L&D side, we are also
Be
supposed to
adapting to
adapt to
change.
the new business and the
Absolutely.
new things that come up, right? So for any L&D professional out there, I think if you are able to handle AI and use it in
Yeah.
the right way, and I think majority of what I would say your time that you're actually going to spend across, I think it will
Yeah.
be drastically reduced, and at the same
Yeah.
time you will be able to do more for the organization at a lower budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we are in the best
That's how
time
it is.
here, which is, we partnering with AI. We not getting scared by what AI can do, but we amplifying our effort with the use of AI. I have seen some great results in instructional design. Now you don't have to do storyboarding, put things here, put things there, not required. AI can do for you. All you have to do is bring the human element, check whether it is right, not right, build more contextualization. Whoever has asked this question, those are the things that we have to think on now, right? Great.
Yes.
All right, we will move forward now. I have a very, very interesting, we talk about cost and we say that mm, maybe bringing external help is required, SME is required. Some of us say no, not required, right? So my question to all of you is, what is your stance? Anyone, and I would like the answer to be maybe 30 seconds, a quick fast round, right? To understand what is your stance on whether an experts are better or internal experts are better. What works for you? Maybe we'll
Uh,
start with Nika, 30 seconds or Morris this time. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would take a stand. I mean, there's no stance in here. I would say that
Mm-hmm.
nobody is better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
The importance is to know when to use which expert. That's where is what is the requirement and how can we present it better and which
Yeah.
would make a better impact. Completely having the business, strategy in our
Sector in mind.
mind, and
Yeah.
that is what we could do. I think both are very, very important. The only idea is the leader should know when to use.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great. We'll move to Deepak. Deepak, you had unmuted.
Yes,
What's
absolutely.
your
I think
stance?
I'll accept to what Morris pointed out, but I'll also bring in one more very important point. Since we were more or less talking about the budgets, right? Bringing in external again is going to cost me, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go in that direction now. So for me, if you look at it, I think we all discussed earlier. It's more about bringing in my additional support probably from the process. I have individuals
Yeah.
who's been working with me for quite some time. He knows in and out of what's happening right? Bringing that experts, I think that should solve the cost, rather than moving into the external side of, if required, yes, as Modest said, if required and when it is required, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But for me, I would take a stand that I definitely have the in-house talent. I'll
Mm-hmm.
definitely try to use the
Internal
in-house.
for you. Great, great. Deepak says internal SMEs. But yes, Asmika, what is your stance on this? Internal or external?
Yeah, I mean, again, difficult to choose. External vendor may not be the way we used to spend earlier. It can be available anywhere, virtual mode also. External vendor would teach us the generic theory, but the subject matter expert who is homegrown, he can or she can able to help the whole team to teach how to execute the theory inside your specific company walls, boundaries, navigating your unique system and your geography, your mindset, your audience, how you do it. So,
Yeah.
that will help both of the organization and the employee himself,
Right.
because you are actually promoting the talent. You are
Internal. Yeah.
having more of subject matter expert within the organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from the project perspective, turning your top performer into an internal
Facilitator.
facilitator creates a self-sustaining learning ecosystem within your
Got
organization.
it. Got it.
It costs next to nothing, builds a massive internal recognition,
Yeah.
and I mean goes as a recognition system also, and it is critical constitutional knowledge locked inside the organization instead of walking outside the door. So
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I have some experience of working in the insurance industry as well. I was associated with Digit. So, and I have seen how much we value institutional knowledge, right? People already know, so we don't have to tell people what needs to be done, how things needs to be done. They already know. So process is faster, delivery is faster, everything is faster. So Sunita, this question brings me to you. I understand how regulated insurance industry is. Everything is scrutinized. What do you think works best for you, internal or external, considering the challenges that you operate with, or how do you maybe strike a balance?
I would, if you ask me, I would go for internal SMEs because, they know the ground reality. They know the one thing that what people are facing. They are aware as to, about internal what is working, what is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and also they know that what are the challenges that is faced by the people, so they will be able to do a better justice to the role, to the job, than inviting an external speaker. While I'm not against any external speaker as
Yeah.
such, but I would say that an external speaker, if you bring them from out, they would say, what does world class look like? They'll
Yeah.
come and they will, they will read couple, they would have read few things, they would have had some industry experience, they would have spoken to some laureates or something, and they'll come and tell that what a world class look like. But if you
Yeah.
see an internal SME, they will tell you how you should do it to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they already have an understanding. They already have
Yes.
knowledge.
How do we make it work here? That is
Yeah.
something that they tell. Whether
Yeah.
it is possible or not possible is one thing, but if it is possible, how do we
Yeah.
make it work here? That is something that they will tell. And
But
let me tell
Sunita,
you
then my question here to you is
one more
that,
thing. I just would like to
yes,
add one thing
sure.
is that tomorrow, if I train a sales leader and he picks up a big ticket size case, he shares his experience.
Mm-hmm.
People will not only buy that, they will also believe that.
Yeah.
And when that is internalized, what will happen is that becomes the sales pitch.
Right. Love that idea of promoting internally and building that trust within the organization, right? But my question maybe to all of you is that sometimes you may have the expertise, sometimes you may not. So when should you combine both then? Maybe we'll just take one answer from any of you. What do you think, and when do you think should an organization combine both? Or have you done that in your organization?
So first, I would do my organizational diagnosis. I would know that what I am capable of, what my internal teams are capable of, or probably a skill matrix can evaluate that. and then I know that what I have to buy from outside to complete my recipe. So the magic happens when the external expertise build the internal capability rather than replacing it. I mean, that's what is my take on this.
Sure. Great. Sunita, you had something to share.
I would say that business practices, best practices come from outside probably.
Outside.
Okay, but business practices are built within.
Inside. Absolutely. So everyone listening today, that is your recipe for when should you combine both, right? Great. Now, we will move forward and a quick understanding. We do have some questions in the chat that I would take at the end, but this question is quick. Maybe we will start with Asnika, and I would request you to keep this answer one-liner. That's the purpose, so that people understand, right? In just this is what it is, right? So, what is that one capability business leaders underestimate that you have noticed adds great value, but no, not appreciated well?
So we always, business leaders or business for that matter, promotes always the technical expert, and we feel that they know, they are the coaches.
Yeah.
So that's the gap where all the businesses are falling. Leaders assume people know how to choose what to drop when there is a workload increase.
Right.
Unfortunately, they don't.
They don't.
So the shrinking budget environment teaching terms how to ruthlessly prioritizing what is at this point in focus is something which we should be doing. Strategic prioritizing,
Yeah. So maybe then I'll come to Sunita. We are talking about strategic prioritizing here. What's that one learning investment after considering everything that you will never cut? How will you prioritize here? You are on mute. Sorry.
Okay, the one thing that I would never cut on is our frontline managers training, because they are the heartbeat of the organization. Okay, they are the ones who bring business for the company. Okay, so skilling them, sharpening the axe for them is the core for me. I would never cut down on that.
Absolutely. To keep learning, to keep evolving. Great. That brings me to Morris. Morris, if you were to complete this sentence for me, the future of learning belongs to the organization that, what comes to your mind, or how do you
kept
follow
this.
it?
I prepared for this question, yeah.
Lovely.
So I wrote it down because I'm from the behavioral background and
Yeah.
also most into life coaching, emotional intelligence, all the certification, but everything. So for me, the human essence is more important. So I've written about this saying that measure what people become, not just what programs they complete.
Absolutely.
That's what I've written and kept it, saying that you have to measure what people become in the organization. I think that also shows how well your organization have grown. If your employee is growing internally, it means the company has succeeded. I mean, not necessarily always, but if your employee grows within your organization, I think that's where it shows that, right? Measure what people have become.
Love that. I think I'm going to use that tagline, right? Everywhere. Measure what people have become, not just what number of hours they have completed. Love that. Great. Now, understanding this, Deepak, my next question is to you. We have understood what the landscape is, what we are doing in different organizations. Now, I'm sure all of us would want to understand what is that one practice that every L&D team should stop doing from tomorrow that is not adding value, but we still continue doing it. What would be that one thing for you?
For me, if you ask me, I don't want to do a calendar session wherein it's a repeat mode, right? So you send in a calendar every month and you ask for nominations, and you do get nominations only if it is really required, right? That is fine, but sending in on a month basis on the calendar sessions, I think that is something that I would really stop, and I've stopped it. It's not like I'm not going to go ahead with that, but I've made sure that I've stopped it, because I feel, and I think as all of us here felt, technical skills generally get people hired, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they have these human skills, as Morris pointed out, who they become, what's their attitude and all of
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
where they internally grow. And if I have, and I think I'll go back to the point that Sunita mentioned, right? So
Yeah.
if we are going to invest a lot into my leadership, where my top leadership are always trained on all of these aspects in terms of, let
Yeah.
us say, decision making, in terms of conflict management, or for that matter of fact, any emotional intelligence aspects, any of that, right? So they'll get back to me, Deepak, my team needs this training so that
Yeah.
they will grow internally. And I think that's where Morris also pointed out, the moment they grow internal, my organization is growing on its own. I no need to bring
True.
anybody from the external aspects of it, but
Yeah.
I will still practice probably what Sunita said, did point out. I'll still practice what the externals are going to bring me in.
Yeah.
I'll get to know that, yes. But if I am able to, stop one thing, I will stop the calendar sessions probably moving forward in the L&D industry, where
Yeah.
I am more of looking at engaging with the stakeholder more. If it's a calendar
Yeah.
session, all I see is like the stakeholder is going to nominate a few responses,
Correct.
and we are going to go ahead and train. And then again, we are getting into the loop of, understanding whether we have hit the KPIs or not, right?
Correct. Again, we are only looking at participation and number
Yes.
of hours and stuff like that.
And that doesn't really bring in any value as of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
because it's more
Absolutely.
about how many trainings have you completed or how many hours you have completed. Now the
Absolutely agree.
question shifts,
Yeah.
almost, as I said, the question has shifted. Now what is the business problem that I've solved? So I want
Correct.
to solve business problems, so that should be what an L&D individual is supposed to
Yeah.
focus on probably. And that's where AI is going to help.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Understood that. Patil is online. I know we are on the top of the hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. What you were talking of us, I'm just going to take 1 minute, Patil. I think it's very important for us to address that. I'm just going to take that
Definitely, definitely.
question,
Sure.
right? And it's very interesting. We are saying that we have to solve business problem. We have to become business partners. We have to understand what business wants. But for that, what is it that an L&D should do? And that's a very precise question that somebody has asked as to what skills do you believe every L&D professional should develop over the upcoming few years while the changing landscape with the advent of AI, with what is AI is happening, and with the changing role of our own as L&D leaders and the organizational expectation, right? Maybe we'll start with Asnika. Asnika, what do you think some of the skills that L&Ds should build, should have?
I mean, my previous organization would teach me that we would have great libraries, repositories, and all. So we should be stop building libraries rather than building compasses, which would give direction to each of the
Mhm.
individual.
Yeah,
If L&D is actively involved in each of individual's career path, growth, how he can see, I mean, in him or her in upcoming journey of his career, then that's something every L&D person should invest in. That's what is my take.
great. Deepak, would you like to go ahead next?
Yes. So if you ask me, right, so if for a future L&D professional, all right, or an existing L&D professional, what the future is, I'm sorry. So I think we are no longer a trainer or probably an instructional designer. So we
Absolutely.
are supposed to step into a lot of other shoes, like let us say a capability builder, a business partner, probably a performance
Yeah.
consultant, or somebody who is good at AI enabled stuff, right? So my closing point would be like, if we look at AI, right, if it is going to change how people work,
Mm-hmm.
then L&D must also change how people learn, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where we build a lot of capabilities, and that is where we are going to help business probably to adapt, probably to grow, and also probably to bring in new ideas and innovate.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Morris, would you like to add maybe a couple of points here and then we
Just
close?
one point I would say that it's an
Yeah.
old point which we need to all do. Listening skills. I'll tell you
Absolutely.
why.
Yeah.
It's not about just listening to what they're speaking. It's about
Yeah.
seeing the performance, the trend analysis. These are
Yeah.
things you need to look when you see that you listen. Okay, this has been the trend, right? So listening not only by hearing but also understanding the business need, their performance.
Absolutely.
So I'll stick to this old school methodology, but it is still working
Yeah.
very strongly with the even with AI.
Absolutely. Not just hearing, but really listening what the business is saying, what the ask is. Great. With that, we still have some questions and a lot of things to do, but we are at the top of the hour, so this sadly has to end. But I think my top take is I love what Asnika said in terms of business language, and she also talked about talent vanity. That's for sure. I'm going to search and understand what that is more. Right? I love the idea of multiplier effect. We have to see how do we combine both internal and external SMEs, measuring what they have become and not just looking at what number of hours somebody has done, right? Not doing calendar session, of course, but looking at what is bringing value for the organization. And internal talent building. L&D must change how people learn. If we think people should change, we also should change, right? So that's my top pick. With that, Patil, the time that you have been waiting for, over to you.
No, thanks, Roshan. And I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all our panelists, Ms. Asnika, Ms. Sunita, she just dropped off, Mr. Deepak, Mr. Morris, and for sharing your experiences and practical perspectives, and for Ms. Roshan for excellently moderating the session and bringing an engaging conversation. Right. So thank you very much for taking time out and doing this and adding back to the L&D community. So thank you very much. So with that, I'll stop the recording and end the session. So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting
you.
us. I just want to, since all of us here, just want to introduce the man behind this whole concept, Swaroop. If you would like to just say hi to everybody. He loves capability and conversations around it, right? So yes, I just thought I'll introduce him as well, just towards the end. Just say hi to everybody. Oh, he went to call him.
Yeah, he's just
He's just here. Yes. I thought, why not introduce the man behind all this?
No,
Yes.
no, thank you so much. I mean, I was just behind the screen, ensuring a lot of comments coming from the LinkedIn
Yes.
Live as well. We were trying to play the good and bad cop between Patil and me. So he's the I'm working at the back. Thank you so much. I really like the way things came out, different perspectives, different viewpoint. I mean, these are the real conversations, right, which everybody are going through. And thanks for getting the best of the panel. I like the way you moderated. I like the way everybody have shared an honest view around it. I hope the audience who have joined in through LinkedIn and through Zoom link, they have got a great value and really appreciate the time taking off and doing this for the Capability Forum.
Thank you so much, Swaroop, for bringing us all together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Roshan,
so
Swaroop,
Thank you, everyone.
Veer,
Thank you all.
Deepak,
Yep.
Sunita, who's not there, like Morish, all of you. It's so fun to learn from all of you, virtually meeting all of you. We all are in different parts of India and, talking to each other. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. You spoke my mind, so I'm not going to repeat the same.
Good. I think it is really, really good. I mean, we're all from different industries and
Yes.
different platform. I think it's an eye opener for a lot of us.
Yeah.
What we do and how we practice. I think Swaroop, thank you so much. We need to keep going along with this.
Thank you. I mean, that's our whole objective to get the Capability Forum from Skillame. Different topic, different personalities, different industries, different background, giving different perspective. I mean, that's what we were liking. I mean, if you reflect back, it's been almost a month less. Every week we make a very conscious effort to get in the right panel, share their experience. I mean, that's the beauty of this whole initiative. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you
Great.
so much,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting
Thank
all of
you.
you.
Thank you so much, Roshan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
It was
Deepak.
great.
Thank you,
you.
Patil. Thank you,
Okay.
Ashnika. Thank you, Roshan. Bye.
Right.
Take
I'll
care.
be ending.
Bye. Take care.